Is this the next face of the Red Sox farm system? What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin. 2025 is going to be a really exciting year, mostly because the Red Sox top 4 prospects are going to most likely make their way to Major League Baseball. But that doesn't mean the Red Sox don't have any more exciting prospects to talk about, because the next wave of exciting Red Sox prospects is already here, and there's one guy that could end up standing out above the rest. So that is what we are talking about in today's video. We're going to be going over who this guy is, what he did in 2024 to make him so exciting, and what he could mean to the Red Sox in the future. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. The prospect we are talking about in today's video, the next potential face of the Red Sox farm system, is a guy by the name of Franklin Arias. Now, Arias was signed back in 2023 in the international free agent pool out of Caracas, Venezuela. He was the second highest bonus the Red Sox gave out in their international free agent pool. But the big thing here to note is that originally Arias was signed basically as a defensive forward player. At shortstop at just 18 years old, he is a fantastic above average shortstop defensively, with smooth, fluid defense that allows him to make difficult plays look easy, but he was never really considered a bat forward player. He was always going to be one of those guys who was probably going to end up as a defensive specialist with maybe a bit of contact ability. That is, until he got stateside, where he really started to make a name for himself. This season, he moved over from the Dominican Summer League and started his career in the Florida Complex League, where in 51 games, he had a .355 average, a .471 on base percentage, and a .584 slug, good for a 1.055 OPS and a 181 WRC plus, about 81% more productive than the average hitter in the Complex League. Now, Arias has always been scouted as a contact forward type player that really understands his strike zone, and he proved why those notes were made in the Complex League this year, striking out 17.5% of the time, which would be well below MLB average, and walking 16.5% of the time, which would be almost double what the Major League average is. Basically, in the Complex League, he was walking just as much as he was striking out. But during that time, he also showed that he could develop some legit game power, with 6 home runs, 16 doubles, and 2 triples for 41 RBIs in those 51 games. Now, that translates out, if you want to project that out to a Major League season, as about 20 home runs, about 50 doubles, and a couple of triples mixed in. That would be an extremely productive player. And not only did he show he can improve his in-game power, he also showed that he can improve his impact on the base pass as well, jumping up from 3 stolen bases in 2023 to 30 stolen bases in 2024. This is what really started turning heads about who Franklin Arias could be in the Red Sox farm system. And the Red Sox agreed. They were clearly happy with what Arias was doing in the Complex League, because they ended up promoting him to low A baseball to finish out the season. Now, he didn't totally find the exact same level of success he did in the Complex League that he did in low A. He finished out the year with 36 games in low A with a 257 average, a .331 on base percentage, and a .378 slug for a 111 WRC plus. Still about 11% above low A production, but definitely much lower than what we saw at the beginning of the year in the Florida Complex League. But the signs were still there that he was still developing. His strikeout rate remained the same at exactly 17.5%, but his walk rate did drop to 9.6%, which is almost half of what he was doing in the Complex League. It's a little bit more, but I'm not going to split hairs on that one. It's about half of what he was doing. Still, at the same time, though, he was still making a lot of contact, and on top of that, if you take a look at that walk rate, it's still higher than what the Major League average would be, and on top of that, he still had 3 home runs, 9 doubles in 36 games, which is still a pretty solid ratio. Projected out over 162 games, again, that's around 40 doubles and 14 home runs. There are still obviously things that Franklin Arias Arias definitely needs to continue to develop. I would say continuing to improve his command over the strike zone is going to be really important. Obviously, continuing to improve his in-game power is going to be what really takes him to the next level. The good news here is that Arias is just 18 years old, right? He has a ton of time to continue to develop that and continue to grow and build muscle mass, which will naturally add more power to his game. What this season did for Arias was start to put his name into the ring of the most elite prospects in Major League Baseball. In fact, he started popping up on basically every single top 100 prospect list. He is currently the 92nd prospect in all of baseball, according to Baseball America, and the 95th on MLB Pipeline. He has also made his way up from the number 25 prospect in the Red Sox system to the number 7 prospect in the Sox system this season, according to SoxProspects.com. Not to mention, this season, he was also named to the Baseball America's Rookie All-Star team, which is just sort of the lower level players whose first taste of stateside baseball, the FCL Top Prospect, a postseason All-Star for the FCL, and the Florida Complex League's most valuable player. Projections have gone from Franklin Arias being this sort of defensive forward utility type player, right? A guy who mainly sticks on the bench, who you spot start here and there just to simply get yourself some better defense against maybe a ground ball pitcher, or a guy who's a late inning defensive substitution, to a player who could genuinely be an everyday impact guy for the Boston Red Sox. Basically, what I'm saying here in a very long form is Franklin Arias had one hell of a season, but what does this mean for the Boston Red Sox, and how does this impact their future plans? However, before we answer that question, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. It just simply helps these videos out a ton, and it's the best way to let me know you're enjoying the content. Thank you all very much for taking a second and doing so. Let's talk about how this impacts the Red Sox. Now, because Franklin Arias is just 18 years old, and because he really hasn't played all that much baseball outside of the Florida Complex League with a handful of games in low A, it may seem like this doesn't really have a true impact on the Boston Red Sox just yet, but I don't think that's entirely the case, because what I think this does for the Red Sox is provide legitimate reassurance. The goal of an MLB pipeline, that's why the MLB's top 100 list is called a pipeline, is to have a constant stream of talent coming up to your Major League team. The Red Sox didn't really have that for a little bit. You had some very exciting prospects coming up, but the question was always, okay, who's after them? Where is that next wave of talent going to come from? That's not really the case anymore. With guys like Marcelo Meyer, Kyle Teal, Roman Anthony, and Christian Campbell graduating this season, most likely, you're still going to have that pipeline of really talented players in there, because what you've got are guys who have made a real name for themselves this last season. Guys like Franklin Arias, or Brandon Montgomery, or Mikey Romero, Yoel Cespedes, or even either of the Garcia brothers are ready to step up and take that mantle as the next exciting Red Sox prospect. And this does two really important things for the Boston Red Sox. The first one is definitely more prevalent to this MLB offseason, and one of the bigger impacts that Franklin Arias could have on the Sox is give them options. The Red Sox have built out this positional player pool really well, to the point where they have basically unlimited options as to what they want to do with this team going forward. Because this minor league system is so talented, they could, one, either utilize this talent to go out and make a big trade. It's the reason why so many analysts, so many fans have been saying, man, I bet the Red Sox really make a splash this offseason via the trade market, because you have the ability to trade one of these bigger name guys and not decimate what's left of your farm system, and that's a really, really great position to be in. Franklin Arias adds to that. The other thing is that even if you don't want to make that big trade, the odds of all of these guys actually working out at the major league level is pretty slim to none. What this does is allow you to have a whole lot of talent coming up at the same time. And that's the second thing that I think is a really big impact for the Red Sox with Franklin Arias. And that is the fact that, again, it's sort of this reassurance, but in a different way. It means that even if a guy like Mikey Romero or Marcelo Marcelo Meyer, they flame out at the major league level, they don't end up being the players that you expect them to be, you still have options to work with. You still have a Franklin Arias, a Yoelis Cespedes. Now, obviously, there is going to be a bit of a gap between Marcelo Meyer and Franklin Arias, of course, right? You're probably talking about 2 years, but there is still hope despite whether or not these guys actually work out. And this isn't to say that Marcelo Meyer isn't going to work out or isn't going to be a good player, but again, you talk about the odds of every single one of the Red Sox top 10 prospects being a legit everyday impact guy, it's very, very small. It's almost impossible that every single one of them works out. Being able to build this up gives you options not only on the trade market, but on your roster as well. And it puts the Red Sox in a really, really good spot. So while Franklin Arias may still be a few years away, while there still may be a whole lot of variation as to who he could be at the major league level, I absolutely do think it's impacting the way the Red Sox are going about this offseason. It's giving them the ability to make moves that they really wouldn't have the ability to do without players like Arias. So I think this season absolutely impacts the way the Red Sox are going about this offseason. If we're taking a look at everything overall, it's clear that Franklin Arias has a ton of talent. He was extremely impressive on the field for the Red Sox organization this season. He kind of blew people away. No one was really expecting him to put on and start producing power-wise with this contact, and that makes him a really deadly player. And of course, it obviously has an impact on the organization as well for all the reasons we just listed. I am fully convinced that this prospect could absolutely be the next big name for the Boston Red Sox and absolutely be the next mantle holder for the top Red Sox prospect. There is a lot of competition for that spot, though, which is going to be an absolutely fantastic thing, right? You have so much talent in the system. Having these guys sort of fight their way for that top prospect spot is going to be a ton of fun to watch. And I think Franklin Arias has a good chance of doing that. But until that happens, let me know in the comment section down below. What do you guys think? What do you think about what Franklin Arias did this season? Does it encourage you? Do you care at all because of how far away he is? And what do you think this means, how the Red Sox approach this offseason? Let me know all your thoughts in the comment section down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button up if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. It just simply helps these videos out a ton, and it's the best way to let me know you're enjoying the content. Don't forget, if you want to listen instead of watch these episodes, all you got to do is head over to your favorite podcasting app and look up Red Seat Radio. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the red seats.